So you get some idea how the road ahead is icy, and we still have snow on the ground. And apparently it froze overnight, so what looks good to walk on is not so good. Makes you think of Russia, doesn't it? And first up, I suppose, is what we're dealing with Putin out of Russia. He who would interfere in our election, he who would make a puppet of a president, Trump, he who would cow American policy whenever it came close to the interests of Russia, is now on the verge of invading and changing the leadership in Ukraine. And that's ironic in several ways, including the fact that when we considered impeaching Trump, it was over this issue. And there was a lot of disinformation that not Russia, but Ukraine was involved in misleading us as to who really interfered. It was Ukraine, not Russia, but that was proven to be a lie. So why are we interested in Ukraine at all? It's because it's become a place in the European community that may define whether Russia can succeed in reaching out and gathering strength elsewhere. And I think he's taken some courage, if that's the right word, from our withdrawal from Afghanistan. And I think the sanctions that we propose. And it appears Putin is close to saying, let's go. You won't do anything. But on the weekend, we had Biden find some backbone. But we can question if it's enough. The backbone was that he pivoted and he said he was considering sending troops and materiel and that he might increase it dramatically. And some are comparing this to the Cuban Missile Crisis. I think they're very different for a set of reasons, but one of them is I do feel, unlike the age of Vietnam, that if this is not handled right, there will be more imperialistic adventurism around the world. I also think it says something about the kind of leader we have to stand up to a man who attacked him personally and his family, and it was used in the campaign to some advantage by Trump. So that's in a wrap-up. I think that what Biden has done is positive. I think he should announce that he's doing it, and we should see if it works or not. We're also on notice that there are 2 executive orders that are somewhat distressing. This is by Trump. One was that to have the Defense Department seize voting machines in the election. It didn't happen, but it was discussed. Shows intent. Another one was pushed by what I call the Oath Keepers. They call themselves the Oath Keepers. And this executive order was going to, in essence, declare martial law should Trump lose. All of these fit a terrible pattern of coup and usurping the authority of our government and trying to replace it with an autocracy, replace our democracy. So these are pretty urgent problems, and there's a dread that hangs over this nation. I believe the beginning and the end of the dread are those people who do whatever the hell they choose to do without being sanctioned or punished in any way. And I start at the top of the law enforcement triangle with our Attorney General, who cannot bring himself even now, after these many days, to indict for contempt Meadows. Meadows, who was at the conversation in Georgia in which Trump asked, demanded, coerced, but failed to get the votes he just simply asked for so that he could win Georgia instead of the rightful winner, Biden. And it's on tape, it's undeniable. And Meadows was involved in that. How can we possibly move forward and claim this is a nation of laws when we don't enforce them? If you or I did something wrong, we'd pay for it. And so the strength that Biden needs in international affairs, we need at home as well. That is, there has to be sanctions, there has to be pushback, there has to be punishment for these people out in the public square who taunt us with the fact that nothing happens to them. They do as they wish. They are the bullies in the schoolyard, except this schoolyard is a democratic nation that they would overthrow by a coup, an autocracy, and leave behind the blood and treasure that it costs to come as far as we have. So, when you think about your public representative, write them and tell them to commit themselves to restore the republic that Trump lost and that continues to be at serious risk. Contribute to them if you can, so that the good ones get elected. But talk at the water cooler, talk on social media, talk on these lines that allow you to communicate with our so-called leaders, our representatives, and tell them to stop talking about anything that doesn't involve the takeover of our government, voting rights, racial justice, and the social stimulus package. If you only talk about those things, you're talking about a lot of important stuff for the nation going forward. So, here I stand, cold but comfortable, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.